hospital. Police still trying to figure out why.
And this week it'll be all about that wind. Some big gusts expected through Thursday, and it's kind of chilly out there. We'll track that together coming up.
First in the Coachella Valley, you're watching KMIR TV Palm Springs, where the news comes first. KMIR News starts now.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us for the KMIR News at 6 o'clock. I'm Gino Lamont.
And I'm Janet Zapala. Topping our news at this hour, the battle over the Palm Springs Mall is now heading to court as attorneys for College of the Desert try to invoke eminent domain after negotiations with the property owner failed. Now, it involves the old Palm Springs Mall at the corner of Tockwitz and Farrell. Our Vince Marino there tonight to explain the latest on this developing news. Vince.
Well, Janet, I'm here at the former Palm Springs Mall, which has been closed for more than a decade now. The owner has not accepted any of the offers made by College of the Desert to buy the property, so College of the Canyons, they're going to go to the courts. The Palm Springs Mall has seen better days. The parking lot sits empty. The doors are boarded up, and signs advertising the stores inside have been removed. Those that remain are just a reminder of what once was.
There was even an ice skate rink there once, and there was a bowling alley and a market, and there was Miller's Outpost. Like I said, it was everybody's go-to place.
The mall has been closed for more than a decade, and now College of the Desert wants to buy the 29-acre property to build a West Valley campus.
I really think it's overdue. It's more than time.
COD students who live in Desert Hot Springs and Palm Springs have to make the almost half-hour trek to get to class. Nearby high school students say a West Valley campus would make things a lot easier.
That's tough. That's real tough because some people don't have transportation and vehicles and stuff like that. So it's kind of hard for the kids.
A temporary campus is being set up near the intersection of Baristo Road and Hermosa Drive. But people who live nearby have already started complaining, not about eminent domain, but the eminent traffic. Students, they just want a place nearby.
They could take the bus out here, so it'll be faster and easier for them to get their degrees and stuff and move on with their lives.
The owner of the mall is Haiming Tan, a Chinese businessman. His attorneys claim that College of the Desert can build their campus elsewhere in Palm Springs and that the college didn't properly notify Tan before taking its eminent domain case to the courts. The trial date is set for January 2nd. Reporting live in Palm Springs, Vince Marino, KMIR News.
All right, thank you, Vince. A former assemblyman here in the desert due back in court on Wednesday to face charges of assisting in a suicide. Steve Clute represented the 68th District from 1982 to 1992. His wife took her life last year in a suicide, and prosecutors say he provided her with the gun. Pamela Clute worked as a math professor at UC Riverside prior to her death.
Well, deputies arrest two people in connection with a robbery and attempted murder in Coachella. Happened last July. Christopher Reyes and Bianca Leal both charged in connection with the July 9th incident along La Playa Street. Investigators say Reyes attacked the victim during the robbery. He's facing multiple charges tonight, including attempted murder. Leal is accused of being an accessory to the crimes. Deputies so far not releasing any other details about this case. Well, Bakersfield police still trying to figure out exactly why a man shot his way into a hospital. Security video showing the shooting that forced Bakersfield Heart Hospital into a lockdown. And you can see the gunman just outside the hospital after trying to open up the door. Well, he can't get in, so he shoots at the door and then comes right through the glass there. The shooting sent patients and hospital staff, of course, running. Police say 44-year-old Brandon Clark is the gunman in that video. And Clark walked the halls for about 3 minutes, according to the surveillance video timestamp, before exiting the same door that he entered. And minutes after the Bakersfield Police Department arrived on scene, well, Clark was killed, gunned down in the employee parking lot.
A Riverside teen remains in jail this afternoon, accused of molesting at least 2 boys and possibly dozens more. As Steve Cooge shows us, his own mother turned him in.
He just basically called her and told her that he had just molested 2 boys earlier in the evening. A startling admission from a woman's own 18-year-old son has authorities now searching for what could be dozens of children molested over the years, all by just one person. Riverside police tell us Joseph Hayden Boston told his mother he molested an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old boy at the Simply Home Inn & Suites motel after he befriended them and let them into his room. Boston's mother took him to a police station where he turned himself in.
This young man was, trying to seek help and doesn't want to do this anymore.
It was at the station talking to detectives that Boston revealed perhaps his most startling confession, according to police. He told officers he had molested some 50 other children. Terrible crimes Boston said he began committing when he himself was just a 10-year-old child.
We do believe his allegations or his own admissions that he's molested upwards of 50 children since the age of 10. We need to backtrack now based on what he said. It's very rare that you would have someone that's going to say, oh yeah, I think I've done this about 50, 60 times over the last 8 years. I mean, he's a young man too.
Just 18. Investigators are trying to locate all of Joseph Boston's victims. They need the public's help to gather more information and track down what could be more than 50 victimized children across several cities.
Boston is currently being held on a $1 million bail.
Well, talking about the weather, something a little bit lighter now. Well, everything's relative, right? But it's 61 degrees outside. I say that's pretty darn chilly, Mike Everett.
It is indeed. In fact, I just took a walk around the building a few minutes ago. It's cool out there, and it will get cool overnight as well. The big question is, how long will this last? We were breaking records for heat a little bit over a week ago, so it's kind of nice to dip down to where we should be this time of year. I want to start you off with a little bit of a slideshow. As always, you've been doing a phenomenal job of sending in your photos. Saturday night, we had a blast at the Festival of Lights. I hope you got a chance to join us either on TV or in person. Rescued by Golden's got a shot of Mandy, the movie guy, who was sweating a lot that night. We got a great shot from one of our viewers, Josh, who got that super moon last night. If you didn't get to see it last night, you'll get another opportunity tonight. It's big, it's bright, it's beautiful. Then that wind kicked up a little bit earlier today. The folks at 350 Hotel saying that their rubber ducky tried to fly away a little bit earlier today. Keep an eye on a lot of your yard stuff because it will be breezy through the next couple days. And just got notification from the folks at Big Bear that they are making snow. Temperatures will be cold enough overnight to support that. And Janet is exactly right. It's 61 degrees out there. Dew point sitting at 5. Golfers, you're going to see dew in the morning. And humidity making a bit of a recovery from where it was earlier today in the single digits. 69 was our high. 69 is our norm. The big question is, will we stay there? We'll track that and those gusty wind advisories coming up in just a moment.
All right, thank you, sir. The Riverside County Sheriff's Department honoring fallen officers. Tonight, a ceremony to pay tribute to lives lost. KMIR Sarah Sanchez live in Palm Desert with more on tonight's ceremony. Sarah, good evening.
Good evening. So this is an opportunity for the public as well as multiple law enforcement agencies to pay honor to all of those lives lost on the line of duty here across our county. This is a video from last year's ceremony. Riverside County Sheriff's Department is honoring officers who have lost their lives here in Riverside County since 1893. A total of 64 lives have been lost. In a community where the loss of Palm Springs officers Vega and Zarevny are still so fresh for so many, especially during this holiday season, it's important for the community to get together and show their support.
Well, this is a national recognition ceremony where we honor fallen officers throughout the country, and during the holiday season we ask that people put a blue light in their windows or on their porches to honor fallen officers. It also is an opportunity to honor the police officers who are serving today throughout the county, risking their lives. Since the county's inception, there's been 65 officers that have lost their lives, and this is an annual ceremony that we have just to honor the fallen.
This ceremony just kicked off here at 6 at Palm Desert City Hall. There will also be a second ceremony in Riverside County, but on December 11th, next Monday, at the Riverside County Administrative Center here in Riverside, that is. And if you can't make it out tonight, like you just heard, you can display that single light in memory of all of our fallen officers. And here's a list that I have here dating back to 1895 of 64 names of officers in multiple different law enforcement agencies that have lost their lives. Reporting live in Palm Desert, Sarah Sanchez, KMIR News.
Never forget. Thank you for that, Sarah. Well, did you make it out to the Palm Springs Festival of Lights Parade on Saturday night? If you were there, you know it was a huge event, but you may have been watching on television and you know it was a huge event, right? It was the parade's 25th year, and it was the first time it was ever broadcast live on TV. KMIR had the honor of that distinction. Gino and I had the pleasure of hosting the event. We wanted to show you also the shout out from the city of Palm Springs there. This is on their Facebook page. The city posting several pictures, including one of Gino and myself saying thanks to KMIR, and the thanks is from us for giving us the opportunity to show off that beautiful parade there in Palm Springs. Just another, well, I guess you could say, event that really sets Palm Springs apart from everybody else.
Yeah,
Really
and it's
a special
fun.
night.
Yeah, it was fun. The El Paseo, all the tree lightings, this is all
So much
stuff
going
that,
on, yeah.
it gets the season going. It's terrific. All right, coming up, we're going to go on the docket with KMIR News legal analyst John Patrick Dolan.
Yeah, we'll be discussing the controversial Kate Steinle verdict out of San Francisco and how it might affect sanctuary cities.
And then coming up later, flying pizzas. That's not the part that concerns me. This part does. Green olives on pizza. We're going to talk about that coming up later.
Congratulations to today's 25 Days of Joy holiday giveaway winner. Not you? No problem. You still have time to win. Log on to the KMIR.com contest page right now and enter for one of these great prizes.
Welcome back. Time once again to go on the docket with KMIR News legal analyst John Patrick Dolan. And tonight we begin with the Kate Steinle case, one that's been pretty controversial since the verdict came out last week.
That's right. People are outraged. But as a defense attorney, what do you know that we don't know?
Well, even not just a defense attorney, but a trial lawyer, regardless of which side you're on. This is a case about California law and the killing of Kate Steinle. And the question was it an accident or was it an intentional killing? It wasn't about how many times he was deported. It wasn't about sanctuary cities or anything of the kind. I realize that's information that sort of surrounds it. Right. So that jury had to decide, and they decided it was an accident. A lot of people unhappy with the verdict, but the jury did their job. And it's really important that we recognize when we ask people to come in and be jurors, we shouldn't be second-guessing them afterwards, because they're the only people who have the responsibility and the presence to make the decision. Very sad situation. He'll get up to 3 years for felon with a firearm, probably be prosecuted federally.
Will be deported, right?
Will be deported, but after serving the time. Normally they don't deport them until after they serve the time. So there's California time, there may be federal time, and then be deportation. And you would think in this guy's circumstance he would never come back.
You know, you mentioned sanctuary cities, and people have been talking about this because he had been deported 5 times. And a 6th time, he could have been deported, but he was in San Francisco, which is a sanctuary city.
Right. And all that is relevant except for the charge of killing Kate Steinle, and it's not relevant to that. It is relevant to what we do with him, how we treat him, etc. And it's a very sad situation, obviously, for the Steinle family. And a lot of people are making comments about jury verdicts that don't really understand how jury verdicts work.
Right.
Now, they did say something was written up that the prosecution may have mishandled the trial as well.
Well, people say that all the time. You know, if the prosecution wins, it was a great prosecution, and if they don't, they mishandled it. And frankly, unless they were there every day, it's a little hard for me to swallow those kinds of commentary.
All right. And real quick, you got an announcement for us.
Indio Tuesday Noon Rotary. We collected a bunch of toys for the kids from the Coachella Valley Rescue Mission, and we're going to take them over there tomorrow. And we're very happy to support the Coachella Valley Rescue Mission. Indio Tuesday Noon Rotary.
Excellent.
Right. Thanks,
Great
Tom.
news. Thank you. John Patrick Dolan. Well, coming up, Bill O'Reilly heading back to court.
Coming up, find who's suing the former Fox News host for defamation in tonight's Showbiz Report.
Thanks for joining us on this Monday evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Everett. Our big story, well, at least one of the two, is that wind that's about to kick up. We got a big ridge of high pressure over top of the Great Basin, basically right on top of Utah. Now, winds around a high pressure system go clockwise, as the arrows indicate. And what that means here is that over the next 72 hours, we're going to see some very gusty winds coming in from the northeast. We'll track that together in a moment. What you need to know is that it's going to do two things: cool off a lot of places. Everything you see here in purple, those are hard freeze warnings, including the Central Valley, not necessarily where we want to see it. But we did see earlier there, they have started snowmaking up at Big Bear. Temperatures will be cool enough to support that. In the meantime, we're going to have some big-time gusty winds. Look at that. Through Thursday at 4 p.m., mountain passes, including the San Gorgonio, will be very gusty at times. So if you're traveling along I-10, bear that in mind. Everything you see here in the purple, that's that high wind warning, and it's actually overlapping the red flag warning. Humidities are going to be in the single digits all the way out to the coast throughout the week. So bears mentioning, be very, very careful with anything even remotely flammable. It is cool. Look at how low the jet stream is dipping. It's 19 degrees in Denver right now. They got some beneficial snow over the weekend as well. Temperatures here, they're already in the 50s, 57 in Cathedral City and Palm Springs, 22 up high, and 26 in Big Bear, 54 in Banning right now. Seeing some 40s already out to the east as well. Let's talk wind. You don't really need to know the numbers. You just need to see the colors. As we go through Tuesday morning, it'll be breezy out there, but because it's coming in from the northeast, the San Bernardino Mountains will block most of that. But it's going to be gusty even in the valley all the way through Thursday here. So as we go through the day on Wednesday, we'll see it back off a little bit, but I expect it to kick back up again as we go into Thursday. Friday will be the first calm day. Overnight tonight, it's going to be cool. I think that graphic is a little bit off because we're already in the lower 60s and upper 50s now. It's safe to say we'll be in the 40s overnight tonight. Highs tomorrow will be cool once again. Look for us to be in the lower 70s, very similar to what we saw today, but with a little more sunshine. 65 in Desert Hot Springs, cool up high. 49 is the high on top of the Tram. 32 is the high at Big Bear. Make that snow, baby. 60 on top of 29 Palms, 58 in the Morongo Valley. Now, as we go through the rest of the week, we're going to track a very slow and gradual warm-up. It's going to get us into the 80s by the weekend, but between now and then, it's going to be very windy and very dry. Guys?
All right, thanks, sir. Tonight's Showbiz Report, a woman who settled a court case with television host Bill O'Reilly is now leveling a new lawsuit against him and Fox News. Rachel Widlieb Bernstein accuses O'Reilly and the network of defamation and violating the settlement agreement. In April, New York Times reported O'Reilly and Fox paid out millions of dollars to 5 women to settle sexual harassment or inappropriate behavior claims. Bernstein, who was one of those women, says O'Reilly has since disparaged her in the media as a liar and an extortionist. A Fox spokesperson said, and a representative for O'Reilly did not respond to the comments today and this new litigation. Well, a longtime high school coach suddenly shown the door.
Coming up, our Amy Zimmer is speaking exclusively with former La Quinta football coach Dan Armstrong.
KMIR Sports. From the Legal Docs by Me Sports Desk, here's Amy Zimmer.
3 days after La Quinta High School's football season came to an end, so did Dan Armstrong's 23-year career as the Blackhawks head coach. But it wasn't on his terms, as Armstrong told me he was blindsided. Over the past hour, we have been digging deeper into this firing, addressing rumors and false information. Now, in part 3 of an exclusive TV interview with Dan Armstrong, he tells us if he could see himself going back to coach at La Quinta High School.
That's a tough question. I mean, I love those kids. I mean, I really do, and I don't want them to feel like I abandoned them or anything, you know. And I think it's got a chance to be a good football team, and it's hard to say, you know. It's hard to say.
Completely understandable. My last question for you, Coach, is just with where we're at right now, where do you plan on going from here?
You know, I'm just kind of sitting back and letting the dust settle right now, and I'm still, I mean, 2 weeks later, I'm still kind of in shock, you know, and every time someone calls me, it raises another question, you know, and as I said, I just, I don't know, it's like I said, it's very hard to deal with right now, and, you know, my family's pretty upset about it, obviously, and, you know, we don't feel like we deserve, you know, the negative publicity that some is out there, so anyway. Life goes on, you know. I just wish I had an $11 million buyout like some of these college coaches do, and then I'd be fine.
I reached out to District Public Information Officer Mary Perry for additional comment from La Quinta High School Principal Dr. Rudy Wilson and Athletic Director Juan Ramon Reese. Perry told me they have no further comment. Janet, Gina?
All right. Thank you, Amy. Well, you might expect to see flying saucers in space from the space station.
Well, tonight it's all about flying pizzas. Yeah, in fact, we're going to take you to a flying pizza party right after this.
Brighter Side of the News is brought to you by Holland RV, located off the I-10 at Washington.
All right, astronauts aboard the International Space Station making and spinning their own personal pizzas in zero gravity. Now, the astronauts made all of their own pies from scratch. The concerning part will come across your screen here shortly. Somebody's putting whole green olives on what appears to be a barbecue pizza, and that feels
Details,
like
details.
that's like a crime against humanity right there.
Now, once assembled, the pizzas were tossed and twirled like, well, floating frisbees before the crew then heated and ate them. And the commander there says they were flying saucers of the edible kind. That makes sense, right?
Pizzas in space.
Thanks for watching.
you.